What if I told you that 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys across our country had something in common? What do you think that could be? Could it be that their favorite ice cream flavor is mint chocolate chip? Or maybe that they play soccer? Or that their favorite color is blue? Or even that they like to ride roller coasters? Unfortunately, none of those guesses would be correct. The thing that 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys have in common is they've been a victim of child sexual abuse. It's a problem that knows no boundaries. It cuts across all socioeconomic levels, races, and religions. And it's a problem that we can prevent with education. In Leon County alone, there are nearly 34,000 students, about 16,500 girls and 17,500 boys. Of them, 5,500 girls and 3,500 boys will likely experience some form of sexual abuse before they graduate high school. Of Florida's nearly 2.8 million students, more than 700,000 will be victims of sexual abuse, leaving hidden scars that have lifelong effects. Female survivors of sexual abuse are 3 times more likely to drop out of school, to develop mental health issues, to abuse drugs and alcohol, and are 4 times more likely to develop eating disorders, and twice as likely to be arrested for a violent crime. Male survivors of sexual abuse are 3 times more likely to abuse drugs, 2 times more likely to run away, and 70% seek help for psychological issues such as suicidal thoughts. The financial costs of abuse are also overwhelming. The estimated lifetime cost of a child sexual abuse survivor is $210,000. That's an annual cost of $23.8 million in Leon County, a cost of more than $1.9 billion for all of Florida. Billions and billions of dollars are spent and lost to child sexual abuse across the country every year. Imagine what could be done if more of those dollars could be used for education and prevention. The problem is staggering, but the solution is quite clear. 95% of sexual abuse is preventable through education and awareness. And together, we can shine a light of hope into the darkness. Florida is a national leader in efforts to create change. Not long ago, sexual abuse was a taboo topic that people would not talk about. Because of strong leadership, people are now demanding change. Classrooms across the state are teaching prevention education. Students are learning to stay safe and use their voice. And lawmakers are passing bills focused on protecting our children. This collaborative community is creating a brighter and safer future for children statewide.
The only way we can stop sexual abuse is to start educating families, parents, communities, so that we know the signs and there's less of a chance for predators to be able to do what they do. And on the cases where it happens, we can catch it quickly and get the survivors help that they need.
Childhood sexual abuse cuts across all socioeconomic backgrounds, cultural, economic, it matters not. In my own case, we lived in a gated community and people thought that that protected us. And the reality is that it happens in temples, churches, mosques, in every zip code all throughout the world.
It's not just one town, one community, one county, one socioeconomic level. It's a big spectrum of abusers and victims.
We don't have to live in fear, but we have to live with our eyes open. And accepting that ugliness is the first step that people can take to making the world better.
The greatest risk factor of being a victim of child sexual abuse is being a child. And we all know that being a child shouldn't hurt. but all too often it does. And so it's so important that if that is something that has happened to you or someone that you know, to get help, because that is how you become victim to victor and survivor to thriver.
We are getting there. We are turning the corner. We are reaching the masses and making that difference that we have wanted to make in educating and in providing awareness. But you only do it with your partners. You only do it with those who are prepared to embrace and help support and reach those masses with you.
There are so many that have been impacted, and we have a moral obligation to be able to reach out and help these people. If we don't do it, who will? There's not a better avenue to address this issue than through schools. There's got to be an increased amount of communication between the home and the teachers in the school, and then at the same time we've got to be able to provide our teachers with the resources necessary to be able to help these young people get the help that they need.
The best solution in the fight to prevent child sexual abuse is education. We know that 95% of sexual abuse is preventable with education and awareness, and that we can make things different by teaching children, parents, and educators new ways to talk about safety. Today, more than 55,000 Florida classrooms from pre-K through high school are teaching prevention education. Students are learning how to spot unsafe situations and develop a network of trusted adults that they can go to for help with anything, from a fight with a friend to a bad dream or a touch that doesn't feel quite right.
I've been teaching Safer, Smarter Kids for several years now. The children love the curriculum. It's very exciting and kid-friendly to them. And the best part is that it helps us teach them in a kid-friendly kind of way, using the pictures and videos and things that really stand out to them, being able to talk about something so serious in a very fun way.
We don't want to scare them. We don't want to make them afraid. However, we want to make them aware and then capable of doing something if they feel uncomfortable, and to know what uncomfortable even means.
It's okay to tell if something that is not safe that's happening to you at home or not at home. And who is a trusted buddy, a trusted adult that you could go to and tell?
As a mom and a mom to a survivor and an educator, I see a need for education and awareness each day in my classroom, but also at home. I wish that Lauren's kids' curriculum had been available when he was younger, because prevention is the key. And unfortunately it wasn't available then, but it is available now for all of the kids.
The impact is dramatic. Classrooms across the state of Florida teaching Safer, Smarter Kids, making sure that we are arming our children, our teachers, our counselors with the information, the education, and the awareness they need to be safe. That's a big deal. It's a big deal to me, and it ought to be a big deal to every human being, all 20 million Floridians. It ought to matter.
It's just so incredible and rewarding to watch how students and teachers respond to Safer, Smarter Kids. And it's just, for me, something so rewarding, because I know had I had a curriculum like Safer, Smarter Kids, when I was their age, I would not have been abused for as long as I was.
There are more than 42 million survivors of child sexual abuse living in the U.S. today. Prevention is essential. So are resources to help survivors heal from the trauma they've suffered.
Sexual abuse, it is so atrocious. It is such an atrocious crime. It's not a crime in a piece of paper and that's it, or a report. There is a person on the other end.
No one has a right to hurt or take advantage of anybody, and no one has a right to harm somebody to get what they want or need. And it doesn't matter how you dress, how old you are, or what you look like. No one deserves to be hurt or harmed.
When this happens to us, our life is forever altered. It's set on a whole nother course. But you have the opportunity to rearrange that course.
Something that Lauren Book has done is to take a tragedy in her life and she has transformed it into a way to help millions of people. She's helped people all over the world, all over the United States, and we can all do that. By helping one person that comes to you that needs help, you have done that. You can change one person's life by those simple words of, I believe you, I'm here to support you. And that can be the most important thing that you can do for the rest of your life.
so many people are afraid to talk about this subject, or they hear it and they don't want to be involved in it at all. And it needs to be talked about because it affects everybody.
From a financial standpoint, it's very costly. When you look at the implications of sexual abuse, the long-term cost of it, it's astronomical. But when you look at it from the human cost, it's far, far more expensive, because what we're losing from these children in terms of productivity, of the happiness that they would enjoy in their life or they don't enjoy, there's a tremendous cost there as well.
This is about hope, and this is about healing, and this is about a safe place, and this is about a comfortable place, and this is about making you understand that there is a community that cares and a community that loves you.
Find that one person you trust, that one person you feel safe with, and just tell. Tell what is happening to you. It is not your fault. You are not responsible for anything that has happened to you, and you will not be responsible for anything that happens to anybody else, but you have to tell.
Treating an issue like it doesn't exist because it might be embarrassing or humiliating basically allows the issue to spread, and you kind of give a disadvantage to the victims.
If people aren't speaking about it, then the people who are victims think that they're alone in it. And I think it's very important for people to know that they have support and they're not the only person that's going through it.
Yes, you can overcome this, that you don't have to stay in the pits of what you've gone through, and that at the end of the tunnel there is a brighter light.
All across Florida, survivors and advocates are speaking up and speaking out. Lawmakers in Tallahassee have listened, passing new legislation to protect children and keep predators at bay, bringing abuse prevention and personal safety education to classrooms statewide, and making every Floridian a mandatory reporter of suspected abuse.
Anybody that is aware of a situation that could possibly be an abuse and neglect situation for a child, please call the hotline so that we can assess it. Know that your information is confidential by law. We don't give that information out to anyone. It's just for our investigators if they have any other additional questions. Our paramount concern is the safety and well-being of the vulnerable citizens of Florida. So if you don't get involved, if you don't help, their suffering may never end.
The police department can only respond to the case once we're told about it. So they need to come forward. The family members that know that this may be going on, they have a suspicion, something's not right, they need to come to us and say, I think there might be something going on, and then we can begin the process of solving the problem.
Be educated and be proactive when looking for signs of possible child sexual abuse and whether something doesn't appear right.
It's incredibly important that we all think about the small things that we can do and learn more about bystander intervention, because the research has shown that that's really an effective way to reduce sexual harassment and sexual violence, is giving people the skills and the tools to just intervene in small ways. Small things make a big difference.
We need to make ourselves available. We also need to make our ears open when children come to us and talk to us. Sometimes they don't have the words. Sometimes they can't find the words to explain what's been going on. But if they know that we're approachable, we're available, we're there, and we continue to be there so that they can tell us whatever they need to tell us. And then when they do tell us, we need to act immediately.
There is absolutely no reason as a citizen you cannot call your local police department and just say, I'd like to talk to an officer, I have some concerns. And then the officer can dispel your concerns, or they can move forward and say, you know what, you are absolutely right, and you could be the one that saves a child from this atrocious crime.
I see an issue that for so long we thought was so taboo, and while still a challenge for people to look at and think about, slowly but surely, we're making a change, and people are starting to look, and they do hear our voices.
We will never know how many lives we save. We will never know how many people we empower to tell and become thriving survivors. We will never know how many we help heal. We just know it's working. We know it's working because we get email traffic. We know that it's working because we get blogging traffic. We know it's working because people call us and tell us.
Today, 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 5 boys will suffer sexual abuse before their 18th birthday. But through education and awareness, with compassion and collaboration, we can prevent 95% and guide survivors towards hope and healing.
Well, after disclosing about my abuse, I went back to school, and I graduated in May with my bachelor's in social work. And I think that
this whole experience has given me the courage to help other kids that find themselves in unfortunate situations as I did.
We know that 95% of sexual abuse is preventable with education and awareness. And every time a child uses their safety stop sign or their I mean business voice, or a teacher spots a red flag or reports abuse to the hotline, we know that we are encircling our children in safety and making sure that they know that it is okay to tell.
We need everybody in our community to come together to assist and hopefully to eradicate this terrible, terrible crime.
Florida should and will lead this country in addressing this issue.